Hi, my name is Christina Lynn. My business is Lynn Financial. I love to talk about money because financial savviness is a skill that you can master. What I want to talk to you today about are tips for preparing for your taxes. I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make with their taxes is assuming that getting a big refund is the ultimate goal. And that's not the case. The goal is actually to pay the least amount of taxes possible, not necessarily to get a big tax refund, because that means that you've just been paying into the government too much throughout the course of the last year and they're refunding you their money. Essentially, you were just loaning the IRS that money throughout the year and now they're giving it back to you without any interest. And so that's not a good thing. So if you are getting a big tax refund every year, talk with your tax advisor about possibly adjusting your withholdings from your paycheck to see if that makes sense for you. And that brings me up to my second tax tip, which is talk with a tax advisor. I am all about saving money wherever is possible. Like, I love cutting corners and anything that you can do to reduce your budget so that you can pay for other more important things like saving for retirement. When it comes to filing your taxes, however, I don't recommend cutting corners with that, because the extra money that you'll pay a professional to help you really analyze your situation and make the best possible scenario for your tax situation, it's going to benefit you much more than like the $50 that it would save you on doing the taxes yourself or paying for like a cheap software to do it. So find a good tax advisor who really knows what they're doing and can help make recommendations to structure your financial life in the manner that will minimize taxes the most it can possibly be for your situation. And the other reason that I like working with a tax advisor rather than saving a couple extra dollars by doing it yourself or doing it with like a low budget software version is that working with a professional from year to year, it really helps you give a financial snapshot of how you've been comparing and income and expenses and just like your tax world, because they keep your information in their software so they can show you, oh, well, this year you paid this much less in tax liability and you got this much bigger of a refund, and here is why. Or they can see, big changes that are about to happen to you, like, oh, I noticed that your child is turning 25 and you're about to lose this benefit, and so, do you want to talk about how to prepare for that? Those are valuable little tips that your tax advisor is going to talk about with you that you aren't going to see if you are doing that yourself, because we're all an expert in our own little bucket where you most likely don't know all of those things about taxes. And so it helps to pay the extra $50 and get somebody who is really good, who you can look at as like a tax advocate. Another tip for you is to pay extra special attention to your tax situation when you experience big changes in your family. And so this could be if there was a divorce, a death of a spouse, a marriage, or if your kids are getting older. So for example, if your child is 16 turning 17, those are going to be items that you want to discuss with your tax advisor so that you can be prepared for the changes in taxes that you'll feel next year. Because with those big family changes, you're going to have a big shift in your tax life. And so it helps if you can prepare, change your withholdings or whatever you need to do, prepare ahead of time through the course of this year, 2019, so that in 2020, when you're filing taxes, you aren't caught off guard with this big tax surprise. And one of the things that I have seen is that tax preparers will charge or offer additional services. It's not that those are good or bad, just don't be afraid to ask questions about the charges on the preparation fee. Like, okay, well, what does this mean? And do you really need it? One of the add-on services that I actually think is a good thing is the tax audit protection. that is most likely an optional add-on service that they offer. Um, and it might be called something different according to your tax office. But what it's going to do is your tax advisor is charging this charge up front, almost like an insurance in case the IRS sends you a letter or audits you. They'll communicate on your behalf with the IRS, which is a good thing. You want them to communicate with the IRS on your behalf because you don't really want to be involved in that. You kind of want to have someone else representing you, almost like an attorney. They're not an attorney, but probably not. I don't know if they are, but you know what I mean. So that's a good thing. And ask about that service, like, well, how much does it cover? Things like that. But I do think that that add-on service is valuable. One of the biggest mistakes that I see is people not understanding the fine print on tax refund advances. And that's when your tax office offers to give you the money up front, like the day that you file your taxes and are in the office. They'll say, oh, well, would you like your refund today versus waiting for the IRS to give it back to you in a month or two or however long it takes? And you're like, well, yeah, it would be really nice to get my refund now. Well, just make sure that you read the fine print because that is essentially a cash advance and those have high fees. Reading the fine print, really understanding how much it costs you to get that money today versus just waiting for the IRS to deposit it into your checking account or send you the check in the mail. Because as your financial advocate, I think it's much better just to wait and get the check directly from the IRS because it's saving you that $150 or however much they're charging for that tax refund advance. I think it's much better, much smarter to just wait and get it directly from the IRS. So your tax advisor can give you some ideas of how to reduce your taxable income, theoretically to make your refund bigger, in other words. But here are just some ideas that you can go over with your tax advisor. And one of them is to contribute to a retirement account that's pre-tax. So for example, if you put money into a traditional IRA and you qualified for that based on the income limits, you are reducing the amount of taxable income, which then reduces your tax liability. So you can put it into an account like that. So that can help you reduce your taxable income. One of the other really awesome products out there is a health savings account. You have to qualify for an account like this. Like you have to be a part of a high deductible healthcare plan. So if your employer offers something like that and that works for your family, those high deductible healthcare plans don't work for every family. But if it works for you, that means you're eligible to start a health savings account, an HSA, and put money into that account. And that can help you pay for expenses, medical expenses that come up throughout the year or future years for you and your family. But what's really nice about it is that those accounts, once you turn 59 and a half and you still have money in that account that you never used for medical purposes, you can then use that for like a retirement account. You can take money out in retirement, whether it be for medical expenses or just for living expenses or a trip to Mexico, whatever you want, once you reach that age. So HSAs can be a really valuable thing for you if you qualify for them, and for the purposes of this video, they help you reduce your taxable income. Another thing that will help you reduce your taxable income is starting a side business. Tread lightly with this recommendation because side hustles may not make you any money. It may end up costing you money. But if you have a passion for something, turn it into a business. And the government likes small businesses, so you get lots of tax benefits because you're operating a small business. So if that's something of interest to you, and you have time and the extra capital to do that and the passion to do it, and your family is okay with the extra time that you need to devote to a side business, it can be a great way to improve your tax life as well. And that's it. I'll leave it there. Make sure that you're not afraid of this whole tax issue because most people just want to stick their head in the sand and get it over as quickly as possible. But that's not the way to look at it. I want you to be empowered with your finances, and that requires no fear of anything financial. So with the tax thing, rely on your tax advisor to answer questions and to guide you in how to improve your tax situation. Don't be afraid of it and just avoid the issue altogether. I wish you the best with your tax journey and beyond.